Today we are going to discuss the next lecture series of protection and sport chapter about the skeletal system of the chordate animals. So in the last lecture we have covered the complete description of cartilage, which is the first type of the connective tissue, the part of the skeletal system of the animals. Today we are going to discuss the second type of the connective tissue, that is called the bones are calcified connective tissue that provides proper shape and structure to the animal's body, and it helps in protection of the delicate organs within the animal's body. So our objectives is to understand what are the significance of the bones in the skeletal system, what are their major functions, and what is its general structure and composition. So starting with the definition, bone is highly vascularized living tissue that contains significant deposits of inorganic calcium salts. Like I said, the bones are calcified tissues, so the body deposits a high concentration of calcium carbonate in already existing cartilage and becomes it stiffened and helps in locomotion and skeletal support. So the bones of the skeleton are complex dynamic organs that contain specialized cells and minerals. The primary component of the bone is a connective tissue, also called as the osseous connective tissue. It is sturdy, rigid due to the deposition of the minerals, and this process is called calcification. What could be the functions of the bone in the skeletal system? The first main function of the bones is to provide support and protection. They provide structural support, keeps the body upright, give it a proper shape, and also serves as the framework for the entire body. Right? So basically this is the internal infrastructure of the body around which the muscles, the other connective tissues are wrapped around, and then it houses different delicate organs of the body. So this way they also protect the delicate tissues including heart, lungs, digestive tract, and reproductive organs, and brain especially. The examples are rib cage that protects heart and lungs, the skull that protects the brain, the cranial bones that enclose and protect the brain, the vertebrae that enclose the spinal cord and protect it from injuries, and pelvic girdles that protect some digestive, urinary, and reproductive organs. Second major function of the bones in a skeletal system is facilitating the movement. Because the muscles on their own cannot provide any function for locomotion, they have to be attached to some hard surfaces that transfers the force from the muscles to the other angles to enable the animal to move. So the bones provide those attachment sites where the skeletal muscles are attached. Muscles are attached to the bones of the skeleton, contract and exert a pull on the skeleton, which then functions as a series of the levers. ठीक है, अगर एक बोन के ऊपर मसल attached है at 2 points, so once the muscle contracts, it shifts the force from longitudinal to other angles so that the bone can be moved around that jointed point. So the whole system is a complex. The locomotion system is a complex of two systems, the skeletal system and the muscular system. So both together work in a complete harmony to enable a range of different powerful movements, including from running, jumping, to very delicate and precise movements where you have to remove a splinter from a finger or do some creative work like painting or writing, where you have to demonstrate fine motor skills. Third major function is haemopoisis. Haemopoisis is a term that defines the production of the blood cells in the animal's body. So we all know that all of the blood cells, the red, white, or platelets, they are produced in the bone marrow, and there are two types of the bone marrows. One is the red bone marrow, other is the yellow bone marrow. The location of the red bone marrow differs between children and adults. In children, it is located in the spongy bones. अभी जब हम आगे जाएंगे, then we can differentiate between spongy and compact bones, and there are other different types of the bones. But here you just remember that in the children, red bone marrow is present in the spongy bone, and when they get matured, that red bone marrow is replaced by another fatty tissue called the yellow bone marrow, and yellow bone marrow cannot produce red blood cells. So how does the adults produce red blood cells? Yes, the adults have the red bone marrow located in the limited parts of the axial skeleton, such as the flat bones of the skull, the vertebrae, the ribs, the sternum, and the ossa coxae, which is a part of skull or a bone behind the nose somewhere. So adults have that red bone marrow in the proximal epiphyses of each humerus and femur as well. So the long bones के जो epiphyses हैं उनमें भी red bone सारी जिंदगी exist करता है, that helps in production of the blood cells. The fourth major function is the energy reserves and the mineral stores of the body. So about 90% of the body's reserves of the mineral calcium and phosphate are stored in the bones, right? So whenever the body needs more concentration of calcium or phosphorus in the body, in the blood, to perform other functions, they are retrieved from the bones, and when you consume more of these minerals, they are stored in the bones, right? So bones is basically the storehouse of that minerals. The calcium is an essential mineral for such body functions as muscle contraction, blood clotting, and nerve impulse transmission. Right, so जब हम nervous system पे जाएंगे and action, we will study the action potential. You will see there is calcium ions which are responsible for some major transmission function. So those calcium ions in the blood comes from the bones. Similarly, phosphate is needed for ATP utilization and other functions. Those phosphates are present in the bones. Whenever they're required, they're released from the bones. When the calcium or phosphate is needed by the body, as I explained, some bone connective tissue is broken down and the minerals are released to the bloodstream. Similarly, the potential energy is in the form of the lipids that is stored in the yellow bone marrow, located in the shafts of the bone. Okay, so in many ways, the energy reserves and mineral reserves are present in the bone.